The alarm horn split the night over Ashford before I had cleared the ridge, and by the time my paws struck the settlement road, the first roof was already burning. An arrow hissed past my shoulder and buried itself in a fence post, still humming. Raiders, the Cinderfang, driven down from the scorched north, lawless and starving, had poured through the border gate with torches and iron, and my pack lay scattered among the shepherds' cottages, for we had come only to trade for winter wool. I threw back my head and howled the muster, and my warriors answered from the dark. But even as they came, a cold certainty closed around my heart. The little ones were here. 3 of our youngest, pups barely old enough to hold their skins, sent along to learn the trade roads, had been bedded down in the healer's barn at the settlement's edge. And the settlement's edge was already a wall of flame. I ran the way only a wolf can run when everything he loves is on the wrong side of the fire, past cottages spitting sparks, past a raider who raised his blade and did not raise it twice, past shepherds hauling water in a bucket line that the wind mocked. The barn stood at the far end of the lane, its thatch caught and roaring, and between me and it stretched a stretch of open ground swarming with Cinderfang. I was still too far, 50 strides, 40. The heat rolled out to meet me like a living thing. And through the smoke I saw her. I did not know her name then. I knew only a slight figure in a shepherd's rough cloak, a woman with a healer's satchel still slung across her body, standing where no one should have been standing, inside the barn's open mouth, inside the fire's reach. She had gone in for my pups. She had found them cowering against the back wall, too frightened to shift, and she had gathered all 3 of them into the curve of her own body, and she had turned her back to the flames. A beam gave way above her, with a sound like the world tearing. She did not run, she could have run. The door was there, the night was there, her whole life was there, waiting on the other side of that threshold. Instead, she bent lower over the pups, folded herself around them like a hand closing over a candle, and took the fall of burning wood across her shoulders so that not one ember reached the small, trembling bodies beneath her. I heard her cry out. I have heard many sounds in many battles, and I will carry that one until I die. Then I was through the raiders. I do not remember them, only that they were between us and then they were not, and I hit the barn's threshold shifting as I came, rising up onto 2 legs in a man's hands, and I seized the smoldering beam and heaved it off her back and flung it into the dark. The pups spilled out from beneath her, unhurt, wild-eyed, and my warriors were there now to sweep them up and carry them clear. She sagged where they had been. I caught her before she struck the ground, and the whole world stopped. I want to be precise about this because it is the truest thing I know. When her weight came into my arms, when I looked down into a soot-streaked face I had never seen before, there was first a beat of pure terror, a terror I had never felt in any raid, on any field, a terror that had nothing to do with the fire, the certainty that I had come too late, that this stranger was already leaving, that some door I had not known existed was closing forever. And then her lashes stirred. Her chest lifted, she breathed, and relief came flooding back into me the way heat floods back into frozen hands, all at once and almost unbearable, a warmth that started where I held her and ran to the ends of me. My wolf did not go still. My wolf understood before I did and rose up in me singing. Mate, this one, her. I carried her out of the fire. I laid her down on the cool grass beyond the lane, away from the smoke, and I knelt over her while the raid burned itself out around us. My warriors had turned the Cinderfang. I could hear the last of them breaking for the gate, hear the bucket lines finally winning, hear the ordinary miracle of a settlement deciding it would live. None of it reached me. I had eyes only for the woman in the grass, for the rise and fall of her breath, for the burns laddered across her shoulders and back where the beam had lain. Stay, I told her, stay, I have you. Her eyes opened. They were the gray of a winter morning, and they found my face without fear, only a kind of tired wonder. The pups, she whispered. There were 3, are they? All 3, I said, my voice was not steady. All 3 because of you, not a hair on them singed, be still now, let me tend you. I'm the healer here, she breathed, and something that wanted to be a smile touched her cracked lips. I tend, I'm not tended. Tonight, I said, you are. Her name was Marin. I learned it from the shepherds who crowded near once the fires were down, the ones who spoke of her in the low, reverent tones people save for the truly good. Marin, who set the boarders' broken bones for a bowl of soup and never a coin, who walked out in blizzards to lamb the ewes of families who could not pay, who had no rank, no standing, no drop of noble blood, and the truest heart in all the borderlands. They had not known what she was. Neither had I, until she taught me in a burning barn with her own body for the lesson. My healers came with their salves and their clean cloth, and they worked over her through what remained of the night, and I did not leave her side. I held the light. I held the water. I held her hand when the tending hurt, and she gripped it hard, and each time her fingers closed on mine that flooding warmth rose in me again, so that I understood the bond was not a single moment but a thing that would keep answering, keep saying her, as long as I drew breath. Once, near the darkest turn of the night, her grip loosened and her breathing thinned, and I bent close and set her worth back to her like a rope thrown to a drowning woman. Every kindness the shepherds had named, every ewe she had saved, every child whose fever she had sat beside until morning. I do not know if she heard the words. I know that her fingers tightened again, and that the thin place in her breath passed, and that I have never in my life prayed so hard to fates I had spent my whole reign too proud to name. She lived, I will say it plainly, because for a long dark stretch of that night I was not sure of it, and the words are precious to me. She lived. By dawn the fever that had frightened my healers had broken. By the second day she was scolding them for fussing. By the fourth she was sitting up in the bed we had made for her, demanding to see the pups, and when we brought them she wept over 3 small wolves who climbed all over her and licked the salve from her bandages and would not be parted from her after. They are grown now, those 3. They still will not be parted from her. They call her something in the old tongue that means the one who stood, and they say it the way you say a prayer. It was on that 4th day, with the settlement rebuilding around us and the smell of new-cut timber sweet on the wind, that I knelt beside her bed and told her what she was to me. I did not command it. I will never command it. A bond given under any weight but its own is no bond at all, and I would sooner have walked back into that fire than take from Marin of Ashford a single thing she did not freely give. So I told her the truth, that my world had stopped when I caught her, that I had felt it, that the fates in their strange mercy had woven her life to mine. And then I told her that the choice was hers, wholly and only hers, and that if she sent me back to my mountains I would go and honor her, and count myself blessed to have carried her out of the fire even once. She was quiet a long moment. Then she reached up and laid her scarred hand against my jaw, and she said, "You knelt in the ashes and held my hand all night. I think I chose you somewhere in there, King, whether the fates asked me or not." The pack was there, in the doorway and the yard, all of them, drawn by some instinct to the moment. And when they understood, when they saw her hand on my face and my face turned into her palm, I heard them begin to weep. Warriors who had not wept in 20 winters wept openly in the Ashford dawn, because they knew now, all of them, exactly what this woman with no rank and no standing had bought them with her own back, and exactly what the fates had given us in return. There is a small scar she will carry always, high on her left shoulder, pale and curved like a crescent moon where the worst of the beam came down. In the years since I have pressed my lips to it more times than there are stars, and each time I make the same vow, the only one that has ever been fully mine to make. I was too far that night, I tell her, my mouth against that crescent of pale skin. 50 strides too far, and you did not wait for me, you never wait for me. So here is my word made of my heart. Wherever the fire comes next, I will already be standing between it and you. You spent your body to shield what was mine. I will spend all the years I have learning to be worthy of the trade. And my wolf, who understood her before I did, lies down in the sun at her feet and is, at last, at peace.